After the 9/18 incident in 1931, Japan occupied the Northeast. They plundered the wealth of the three provinces. All silver dollars from the banks were stolen. Arsenals like the Shenyang Arsenal and the Fengtian mortar factory were seized by the Japanese army. In these arsenals, the Japanese army obtained 155,000 rifles and pistols. They also got over 2,600 light machine guns, 189 artillery pieces, and more than 2,300 mortars, and a large quantity of unassembled artillery parts. Tanks, airplanes, and artillery shells were countless. These weapons originally belonged to the Northeastern Army. Later, they became tools for Japan's invasion of China, used to slaughter Chinese people. All of these consequences were simply because of Zhang Shuliang's non-resistance. The Northeast was Zhang Shuliang's sphere of influence. He controlled all military and political power. No one would defy his orders. Meanwhile, records show the 9/18 incident was merely a military gamble by the young officers of the Kwantung Army. On the eve of the 9/18 incident, Zhang Shuliang's Northeastern Army was well equipped. It had everything from airplanes to heavy artillery. When the incident broke out, the Northeastern Army had 165,000 troops in the Northeast. The Kwantung Army had only 27,000. Had the Northeastern Army been willing to resist, leveraging the advantage of fighting on home ground, the Japanese army would have been trapped in a desperate situation, isolated and with poor logistics.
For this very reason, the Army General Staff in Tokyo was apprehensive. In the nearly 6 months from the incident until February 1932,
they repeatedly cabled the Kwantung Army, ordering it to cease its reckless gamble.
They worried about a desperate resistance from the Northeastern Army. This would drag the Japanese forces into a protracted war of attrition.
They might even lose their existing interests in the Northeast. One of the masterminds, Kenji Doihara, was even prepared to commit suicide. They knew that if the battle went poorly, an impoverished Japan could not support a long war of attrition, and the Army General Staff would absolutely not send reinforcements. Once defeated, they would not only lose existing interests like the South Manchuria Railway, inviting intervention from the great powers, ultimately causing all the gains from their aggression since the Meiji Restoration to be lost. But who could have imagined that Zhang Shuliang would actually not resist? At 10:25 p.m. on September 18, 1931, the South Manchuria Railway was bombed. The Japanese army placed the bodies of 3 Chinese people dressed in Northeastern Army uniforms at the scene, as evidence to falsely accuse the Chinese of sabotaging the railway. Simultaneously with the explosion, several Japanese army units stationed in Wenguantung and Shenyang City immediately launched an encircling attack on the Beidang Barracks. The 7th Brigade in the Beidang Barracks, led by Wang Yizhe, had 6,000 defenders. Facing a Japanese force less than 1/10 their size, they had the ability to easily crush them. It was because Zhang Shuliang ordered them not to resist. He also kept the armories locked. Soldiers could only face the enemy barehanded. They were brutally massacred, and the barracks quickly fell. A few hours later, Shenyang fell. On September 20, Changchun fell. On September 21, Jilin fell. Facing the Japanese army's frenzied expansion, Zhang Shuliang actually ordered the Northeastern Army to retreat and defend Jinzhou.
This retreat of his led the Japanese army to unscrupulously expand their gains. They occupied most of Heilongjiang province in a short time.
The only remaining major military town was Jinzhou. As the Japanese army approached Jinzhou, the Nanjing government proposed establishing a neutral zone in Jinzhou. But Japan demanded that the Northeastern Army must withdraw first. Everyone knew it was a trap. But Zhang Shuliang agreed. He ordered the Northeastern Army to retreat and defend the area of Eastern Luan in Hebei and Rehe. Then, the Japanese army easily captured this important town as well. On February 5, 1932, the Japanese army used airplanes and artillery to blast open the gates of Harbin. At this point, all 1 million square kilometers of the 3 northeastern provinces had fallen. Japan's military gamble was a resounding success. After occupying the Northeast, the balance of power between China and Japan became completely imbalanced. Japan used the Northeast's well-developed industrial base and abundant resources. Its military-industrial strength rapidly expanded. This laid the foundation for an absolute advantage in the subsequent full-scale war of aggression against China. From then on, the Chinese people began the arduous 14-year war of resistance against Japanese aggression. This was the result of Zhang Shuliang's non-resistance. It fed Japan's appetite and inflated its ambition.
It showed a servant that its former master could be defeated. It gave them ample confidence and resources to launch the war of aggression against China.
Therefore, we should remember the lesson history has taught us. Peace is preserved through fighting for it, but peace is lost through appeasement.